And so if we can just give a really good, nice, warm round of applause to welcome Jon and Bev to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for you all turning out. It's really great to see you. Whoops. Now, we're going to start off with a song that was recorded by Carrie Underwood, and when I said to some friends of ours that we had a country band with, that I was going to do this song, she said, I'm getting very worried about you, because it's a bit of a strange song. It's about two women who decide to bump off their husband stroke lover. So it's called Two Black Cadillacs. Two black Cadillacs driving in a slow parade. Headlights shining bright in the middle of the day. One is for his wife, the other for the woman who loved him at night. Two black Cadillacs meeting for the first time, and the preacher said he was a good man, and his brother said he was a good friend. But the women in the two black vans, they didn't bother to cry. Bye bye, bye bye, yeah. They took turns laying a rose down, threw a handful of dirt into the deep ground. But he's not the only one who had a secret to hide. Bye bye, bye bye.
Two black Cadillacs, two black Cadillacs.
2 months ago, his wife called the number on his phone. Turns out he'd been lying to both of them for oh so long. They decided then he'd never get away with doing this to them. Two black Cadillacs waiting for the right time, and the preacher said he was a good man, and his brother said he was a good friend. But the women in the two black vans didn't bother to cry. Bye bye, bye bye, yeah. They took turns laying a rose down, threw a handful of dirt into the deep ground. But he's not the only one who had a secret to hide. Bye bye, bye bye.
Two black Cadillacs,
Yeah, yeah,
black
yeah.
Cadillacs.
It was the first and the last time they saw each other face to face. They shared a crimson smile and just walked away and left the secret in the grave. And the preacher said he was a good man, and his brother said he was a good friend. But the women in the two black vans didn't bother to cry. Bye bye, bye bye, yeah. They took turns laying a rose down, threw a handful of dirt into the deep ground. But he's not the only one who had a secret to hide. Bye bye, bye bye. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was just going to tell you that Beverly and I went to the pantomime at the Devonshire Park 2 weeks ago by now.
Yeah, just before we were poorly.
I knew somebody was going to say that, so I didn't. You've ruined my joke now. I hope you're happy with that, Terry. No, I was going to say halfway through the performance, I sneezed. And the whole audience said, "Oh no, it's not."
Trust him. I think that was actually where we caught it. Anyway, this next one was written by the one and only Willie Nelson, and especially for my lovely friends in the back row there. And it was recorded by Patsy Cline. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy for feeling so blue. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted. Then someday you'd leave me for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering, what in the world did I do? I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying and crazy for loving you. Your turn. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy for feeling so blue. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted. Then someday you'd leave me for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering, what in the world did I do? I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying and crazy for loving you.
Good joining in. Well done. I just wanted to tell you, as a Christmas present, I bought one of those deep fat fryers for Christmas off eBay, but it was described as used but in good condition. And when it arrived, it had a chip in it.
You. Well, what am I going to say about that?
Next.
Yeah. This next song was a big hit for Reba McEntire. And we sang this for some friends of ours. And when I looked round, this lovely friend of ours was crying. And she said, and I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry if I upset you." She said, "Oh, no, I loved it so much. Will you sing it again?" And she cried all over again. So I don't want anybody here crying. Or if you do, ask my lovely friend Sue over there. She's got a nice roll of tissue you can mop up there. It sure gets quiet when the kids go to bed. I sit here in the silence, putting off what must be said. I read a book, you watch TV, as our love dies quietly. I'm so sad I don't know what I've just read. Somebody should leave, but which one should it be? You need the kids and they need me. Somebody should leave, but we hate to give in. We keep hoping somehow we might need each other again. We say goodnight, then turn and face the wall. I lie here in the darkness and the tears start to fall. If it was only you and me, goodbye might come more easily. But what about those babies down the hall? Somebody should leave, but which one should it be? You need the kids and they need me. Somebody should leave, but we hate to give in. We keep hoping somehow we might need each other again. Somebody should leave, but we hate to give in. We keep hoping somehow we might need each other again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if I told you, I bought another thing for Christmas. I bought an original Van Gogh coffee table. Now, I know it's authentic because it's got a bit of veneer missing. Bit of veneer missing. Oh, sorry.
Right, now it's time. Is it time for Jon to sing a song? Now,
Oh, no.
I always know that when Jon sings, everybody sings much louder. So we'd love it if you all join in. Especially the guitar club, because I know they know this one.
Heading down south to the land of the pines, I'm thumbing my way back to North Carolina, staring up the road and hope to pray I see headlights. I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I'm hoping for a rally I can see my baby tonight. This is your bit, by the way. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold up in New England, I was born to be a singer in an old-time dream, but my baby plays the guitar, I pick a banjo now. The North Country winter keeps getting me now. I lost my money playing poker, so I had to up and leave, but I ain't heading back to live in this old life no more. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me,
like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me.
I'm walking to the south out of Roanoke. I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long talk, but he's heading west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. Well, I gotta keep a moving, fit for the sun. I hear my baby calling my name, I know she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh at least, I will die free.
Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for joking. I'll tell you what, I was in Wetherspoons with Beverly the other day, having a soft drink, obviously, and I said, look at that miserable couple over there. We'll be like that in 10 years' time. She said, that's a mirror. Thank you.
That's true. Right, this next song is all about the Vietnam War. We're doing a couple of war songs, but they're quite pleasant war songs. This one was recorded by the Dixie Chicks. Oh, we're only allowed to call them the Chicks, yes. Yeah, are you ready then,
Yes.
Dave?
This is marching time, so you want to ch.
2 days past 18, he was waiting for the bus in his army green, sat down at a booth at a cafe there, gave his order to a girl with a bow in her hair. He's a little shy, so she gave him a smile. He said, would you mind sitting down for a while and talking to me? I'm feeling a little low. She said, I'm up in an hour and I know where we could go. So they went down and they sat on the pier. He said, I bet you got a boyfriend, but I don't care. I got no one to send a letter to. Would you mind if I send one back here to you? I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone, when the letter said, the soldier's coming home. Well, the letters came from an army camp in California, then Vietnam, and they told of his heart might be love, and of all the things he was so scared of. Said, when it's getting kind of rough over here, I think about that day sitting down by the pier and close my eyes, see your pretty smile. Don't worry, but I won't be able to write for a while. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone, when the letter said, a soldier's coming home. One Friday night at the football game, the Lord's Prayer said and the anthem sang. A man said, folks, would you bow your heads for the list of the local Vietnam dead? Cried all alone under the stands was the piccolo player and the marching band. Then one name was called, but no one really cared. But the pretty little girl with a glow in her hair. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young, then they told, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter said the soldier's coming. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, wait for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter said the soldier's coming home.
That storm Geordie, you know, it brought massive winds. I don't know if you had them your way. I'm really worried about that caravan in our garden because we didn't have one last week.
Right, well, this is our next. It's all about America and their wars, really, these two songs. This one is about the American Civil War, and I'm sure everybody knows this one, so we want everybody singing along. It's called The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. Virgil Kane is the name, and I worked on the Danville train till Stoneman's cavalry came and tore up the tracks again. In the winter of '65, we were hungry, just barely alive. On May the 10th, Richmond it fell. It was the time I remember oh so well. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the bells were ringing. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the people were singing. They went na 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 na. Back with my wife in Tennessee, when one day she called to me, "Hey Virgil, quick come see, there goes Robert Healy." Now I don't mind him chopping wood, and I don't care if the money's so good. They take what they need and they leave the rest, but they should never have taken the very best. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the bells were ringing. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the people were singing. They went na 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 na. Like my father before me, I will work the land. Like my brother above me, who took a rebel stand. He was just 18, proud and brave, when a Yankee laid him in his grave. I swear by the blood below my feet, you can raise a cane back up when he's in defeat. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the bells were ringing. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the people were singing. They went na na Ah, did you know? I said, have you got anything to say, John? And he said, no.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. I texted
I thought I'd got away with it for a minute then.
I texted Beverly that I'd fallen over in the street and that Karen was taking me to hospital and that I might have a fractured arm and a broken neck. And do you know what she said? She said, "Who's Karen?"
And Karen knows who she is.
Go on.
Right, this is a song about... it's about Jolene. Now, there are many versions of different sort of answers to the song Jolene. And this is the one that was recorded and written by a singer called Cam, and it's called Diane. I wonder whether Dolly's real name's Diane. Why would she call her Diane? Anyway, off we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, he said.
I've forgotten it now. You've talked too long.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I promised I didn't know he was your man. I would have noticed a gold wedding band. Diane, I'd rather you hate me than not understand. Oh, Diane. You picked the time and the place, don't know how much this hurts. I gave him my heart to break, now I know he broke yours first. Lying right there in my bed while he was lying to you, believing the words that he said. How could we be such fools? And all those nights that he's given to me, I wish that I could give them back to you. Diane, I promise I didn't know he was your man. I would have noticed a gold wedding band. Diane, I'd rather you hate me than not understand. Oh, Diane, you can blame me if it helps. That's what a good wife would do. But you're only cheating yourself, choosing him over the truth. And all those nights that he's given to me, I wish that I could give them back to you. Diane, I promise I didn't know he was your man. I would have noticed a gold wedding band. Diane, I'd rather you hate me than not understand. Oh, Diane. old I am. And all those nights that he's given to me, I wish that I could give them back to you.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, John's having. Mine's only water, but his is gin. I don't know why he was so spoiled. I think it's because he's going to sing the next song, which actually means you're going to sing the next song. Okay.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep. Do you know what? When I was a kid, bedtime was like 9 o'clock, and I couldn't wait till I grew up and I could choose what bedtime I liked. And do you know what? It turns out it's 9 o'clock.
Okay, it's your
Oh,
song.
what are we doing? Wait a minute. Yeah. This is Worried Man Blues, which goes back to the 1920s. And I hope you can all join in with us. Oh, I know.
Ah, you need that.
No, change your tools.
He's got to change his tools.
Train that I ride is 21 coaches long. The train that I ride is 21 coaches long. The train that I ride is 21 coaches long. The girl I love is on that train and gone. Now here's the chorus for you. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I crossed over the river, I lay down to sleep. I crossed over the river, I lay down to sleep. I crossed over the river and I lay down to sleep. When I woke up, there was shackles on my feet. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man
To sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long.
21 links I've chained around my leg. There's 21 links I've chained around my leg. 21 links I've chained around my leg, and every one with the initials of my name. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I asked the judge, oh, what's gonna be my fine? I asked the judge, oh, what's gonna be my fine? I asked the judge, what's gonna be my fine? 21 years on the Rocky Mountain line. Last time for the chorus. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Brilliant.
It takes a worried man to sing a worried song.
Excellent.
It takes a worried man
To sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Very good. Well done.
Well done, you guys. That was great. Now this next one was written by the lovely Dolly Parton. Lots of people think it was Roberta Flack, but it wasn't, or even Whitney Houston. No, definitely wasn't her. It was the one and only Dolly Parton. And this song, she's donated all the money from it for children's charities, schools, a reading programme. And we know you all know it, so we want everybody singing. If you've got a phone, you can put the light on and swing it about. I have dreams of this.
These are older people. Can you get your lighters out, please?
Okay.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you each step of the way. And I will always love you. I will always love you. Bittersweet memories, that's all that I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know that I'm not what you need. And I will always love you. I will always love you. And I hope life treats you kind. And I hope you have all you dreamed of. And I wish you joy and happiness. But most of all, I wish you love. And I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love you.
Two more.
Yeah, two.
I was sitting on the settee the other day and I heard Beverly call out, "Darling, sweet pea, what would you like for dinner? Chicken or lamb or fish?" I said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind chicken, love." She said, "Not you. I'm talking to the cat."
I'm going to let you into a little secret. That's a story because we haven't got a cat.
But if we did have, that's what would happen. Go on then, off you go.
Right, this next song was written by Darrell Scott, and he was looking into his ancestry and discovered that his family came from a place called Harlan in the States, and it was one of those coal mining towns where people were dying of what they called black lung disease. Anyway, he went to visit this place and he looked through the graveyard and there was this grave and it said on it, "You'll never leave Harlan alive." So he went home and wrote a song about it.
In the deep dark hills of eastern Kentucky, that's the place where I traced my bloodline, and it's there I read on a hillside gravestone, "You'll never leave Harlan alive." Oh, my grandfather's dad crossed the Cumberland Mountains, where he took a pretty girl to be his bride. Said, "Won't you walk with me out of the mouth of this holler, or we'll never leave Harlan alive." When the sun comes up about 10 in the morning, the sun goes down. About 3 in the day, and you fill your cup with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life just thinking of how to get away. No one ever knew there was gold in them mountains till the man from the northeast arrived, waving $100 bills. He said, I'll pay for your minerals, but he never left Harlem alive. Well, Grandma sold out cheap, and they moved out west to Pineville, to a farm where big Richland River winds. I bet they danced them a jig, and they laughed and sang a few songs, who said we'd never leave Harlem alive. But the times got hard, and tobacco wasn't selling, and old Granddad knew what he'd do to survive. He went and dug for Harlan coal, sent the money back to Grandma, but he never left Harlem alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning, and the sun goes down about 3 in the day, and you fill your cup with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life digging coal from the bottom of the grave.
Well, I was looking forward to my coffee, and I expect all these guys are.
Well, there's one that they can all sing with, and one they can get up and have a little dance, provided they don't.
Okay. You convince me.
Right, this
Do we
is.
get paid by the song, Alan? Sorry,
He
that's
can have
a
an
joke.
extra biscuit if he does an extra song, can't he? That's.
This is our other Willie Nelson song, isn't it?
Yeah, another Willie Nelson song. Elvis tried to nick it, but Willie Nelson was much better, wasn't he, Glenn? Yes.
Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind.
Always on my mind.
You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. If I made you feel second best, I'm so sorry I was blind. But you were always on my mind.
Always on my mind.
You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. Give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. I'll keep you satisfied. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
Right, this next one, you can stamp, you can clap, you can sing. If you're up the alley there, you can have a little dance. Yes, I'm just looking forward to seeing. Yes, there he's going for it. This is about what you might be getting for your lunch. It's jambalaya.
Goodbye, Joe, we gotta go, me oh my oh. Gotta go, pull the pirogue down the bayou. Is your fault, sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. T-bar up, fun, no place is buzzing. Kinfolk come see on by the dozen. Dressed in style, they go hug wild, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou all together. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, Philly gumbo. For tonight I'm gonna sing my share of me-o. Big guitar, fill fruit jar, Abigail. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Settle down, Barton Town, get him a pirogue. Then you catch all the fish in the bayou. Swamp his mom to buy your board what she needs, oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, Philly gumbo. For tonight I'm gonna see my share of me-o. Big guitar, fill fruit jar, Abigail. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, Philly gumbo. For tonight I'm gonna sing my share of me-o. Big guitar, fill fruit jar, Abigail. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou.
Thank you very much.
We now have a fantastic second half. Don't get Jim here very often. I don't know why that is. He's busy in folk clubs.
Because you don't ask me.
Oh, I'm more than happy to ask him. Jim sometimes plays with his son on a fiddle, but he can't be here today. So we're blessed with a solo performance. Despite a little troubling handicap, he's got enough fingers left to play, haven't you?
I've got enough. I've got 4 on that hand, and that one's buggered with Jupiterans. Has anybody else got Jupiterans here? I'm knackered with Jupiterans on this hand. I cannot move that finger at all.
Put a slide on it.
Oh yes, I should do that. I cannot put a bottleneck on it. Well, that's the trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, big round of applause, please, to welcome Jim Murray.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Did you say there was people watching from France? Yeah. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, en France. Et aujourd'hui, je veux chanter plusieurs chansons que j'ai écrites. And you'll see on the subtitles that meant today I'd like to sing a few songs that I've written. The first song is dedicated to all those people who make life difficult. Because wherever I go, I often find there's a man with one thing on his mind. He's dedicated to prevent. Whatever he sees is my intent. He's one of that funny kind of men who'll sit and scratch his head, and then comes the message loud and clear. You really can't do that there, yeah? It starts when you're a bairn, that's a child. You're gasping for a drink, sir. But the sight of your mammy's breast puts some people in a stink, sir. You know the kind I mean. A red-faced man, I'll wager. A finger wagging, blustering, puffing, panting, sergeant major. You can't do that there, here. You can't feed your treasure. No, there's always a man doing what he can just to spoil your bit of pleasure. Tooraloo, join in if you want. Tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, I am tooraloo, laddie. Football in the lane, playing for the team you follow. You knock the ball over next door's wall, suddenly there's a holler. The red-faced man appears, he's just back from his boozing. He crashed in the chair and he's lying there, now you've woke him from his snoozing. You can't do that there, yeah. This lane is not for leisure. There's always a man doing what he can just to spoil your bit of pleasure. Tooraloo, tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, I am tooraloo, laddie. At the flicks on Friday night, with your girlfriend hoping, sitting in the back row to do your bit of groping. You cuddle up quite close, all in anticipation. Then the light shines out and there's a shout, all full of indignation. You can't do that there, here. This place is not for courting. No, there's always a man doing what he can just to spoil your bit of sporting. Tooraloo, tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, I am tooraloo, laddie. Down to the pub for a pint, just before it closes. It's not very far and you get to the bar, cutting through the wall of posers. I'll just have one on second thoughts, you better make it two now. Then the last bell rings and the landlord sings, let's be having you now. You can't do that there, here. You can't sup your measure. No, there's always a man doing what he can just to spoil your bit of pleasure. Tooraloo, tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, I am tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, tooraloo, laddie. Tooraloo, I am tooraloo, laddie. There's always a man doing what he can just to spoil your bit of pleasure. Except here, of course. I'll just check I've got everything. I've got my hearing aids in, I've got my right glasses on, got my head on, got my crib sheet. I've got a crib sheet here, you see. Now, this next song, it's about... I come from Newcastle, from Tyneside. And you'd never guess, would you? No, you'd never guess. Well, I lived 50 years in London, so, you know, the edges rubbed off. So this is about a lad who comes down to London and he cannot understand how people can spend all this money when there don't seem to be any proper jobs. And so he's a bit puzzled by this. and that's what this song's about. Actually, Geordie drove down to London to see his MP, and he was just about to park outside the Houses of Parliament when the copper says, "I wouldn't park there if I was you." He says, "That's for Tory MPs." And Geordie says, "Well, don't worry, I've locked it." When I came down to London, you know, the first thing I had to do was I had to go for an interview in Putney Bridge. I don't know if I've told you this before, I might have done. I had to go for an interview in Putney Bridge, and I got off the train, and I said to the first person I met, I said, "I'm looking for Putney Bridge." And he says, "What, Putney Bridge? Never heard of it, mate, never heard of it." So I asked the next man, I said, "I'm looking for Putney Bridge." He said, Putney Bridge, never heard of it, mate." Well, the next fella came up, and he says, "What you're doing wrong is you're saying Putney Bridge, and they think you're saying Putney Bridge." He says, "You've got to say Putney Bridge." Say, "Excuse me, mate, I'm looking for Putney Bridge." So I stopped the next fella, and I said, "Excuse me, mate, I'm looking for Putney Bridge." He says, "What a bloody cockney, you don't know where Putney Bridge is, bugger off." What happened was, there was a fella on the wireless, and he said, in order to be a proper Geordie, there's two things you need. You need to support Newcastle United Football Club, and you've got to hate everything from Sunderland, because there's a great rivalry between Newcastle and Sunderland. And, that gave me two problems, you see, because I went to school in Sunderland, and I've only ever been to one Newcastle match, because I don't follow football. And once I went to Sunderland Folk Club, I went to school with a lad called Mickey Elliott, who became Mike the Mouth. He was a shock jock on Sunderland Wireless, and he was fiercely northern. And when I went to his folk club, he says, "This is Jim Murray, he's a plastic Geordie," because I'd moved to London. So this song's called Plastic Geordie. And in it, I mention a few things, and I'll just explain it to you. Well, you know that Geordies come from Newcastle, from Tyneside. And the Magpies is Newcastle United Football Club. From Sunderland, they call them the Mackhams, because they say Mackham and Tackham there. I think that's where it is. And Mike the Mouth was Mickey Elliott, who I went to school with, and he's mentioned in this. I just always think that if I knew that Mickey Elliott was going to become Mike the Mouth, we would have called him Mickey Mouth. I mentioned Stotty cakes, which are like bread buns, and I mentioned Greg's Pies. You probably all know Greg's Pies. But they started off being made in Gosforth, just outside Newcastle. Blue Star is Newcastle beer. St James's Park is the football ground, or was, they keep on changing it. And the Gallagher End is one end of that. And War Jackie is Jackie Milburn. The only football match I ever went to see was in 1954. I was 10 years old, and Jackie Milburn was playing War Jackie. And I also mentioned Gaza and Alan Shearer, who are football players. And I mentioned Jimmy Nail, the singer, and actor, and Sting. And I mentioned Bladen Races, which you've probably heard of. Anyway, I was born up in Newcastle, and then I moved down south. Now I'm a plastic Geordie, or so said Mike the Mouth. And now I live beyond the Tees, I might as well be overseas, in Mexico or in Belize, or down in South Australia. Yes, I'm a plastic Geordie. I've never been down a pit. When the Magpies drop a point, I don't give a toss. I don't eat those Stotty cakes. I don't eat Greg's Pies. And when the Mackhams score a goal, there's no tears in me eyes. And now I live beyond the Tees, I might as well be overseas, with the Turks or with the Japanese, or down in South Australia. I've never seen old Gaza play, or Alan Shearer score, but I did see War Jackie, that was in 1954. I've never heard a wail from Jimmy Nail, or Sting perform a song, and when I sing the Bladen Races, man, why I get the words all wrong. And now I've lived beyond the Tees, I might as well be overseas, with the Spanish or the Portuguese, or down in South Australia. I've never worked where they you coal, or where they build the ships. I wouldn't go far for the old blue star, it'll never pass my lips. I don't smoke tabs, I don't go to the club, never stood at the Gallagher end, and all the talk of St. James's Park would send me round the bend. And now I live beyond the Tees, I might as well be overseas, in the Alps or in the Pyrenees, or down in South Australia. But then again, when I go north, to a place I still call home, when I see the bridge across the Tyne, I know that's where I'm from. And the years I was brought up there must be burnt within me soul, and that's when I recall you can make plastic out of coal, which is true. And now I live beyond the Tees, I offer no apologies. In the north and south I am at ease, and down in South Australia, and even Sunderland. I forgot to tell you that this little phrase, now I live beyond the Tees, there's a singer called Bob Davenport, great singer called Bob Davenport, and he reckons that he's got a mate who reckons once you get south of the Tees, you start to hear the Cockney influence. So that's where that phrase comes from. What I'm going to do next is a little... Oh, he's somebody's... You're right there, are you? Oh, right, exactly. That's exactly the same thing. So this is, when I was growing up in Tyneside, me and my brother had a friend. And I'm going to call him Geordie, because everybody's called Geordie in my songs. And Geordie and his mate Jack. And this is a little musical poem, because Geordie always he would always use the wrong word, if he could. At least it seemed that way. He was a bit, do you remember Hilda Baker? Well, Hilda Baker would do exactly the same kind of thing, wouldn't she? She would say, like, he cannot sit down because he's got Polaroids. And I can say that without fear of contraception. I thought he had a coronary trombonist because he felt prostitute on the floor. Well, that was Hilda Baker, and Geordie, in the song, he suffers the same affliction. He can't get the words right. He's talking to his mate Jack, you see. Now Geordie's walking down the road. He meets his old friend Jack. Now Jack's a canny kind of lad. He says, Geordie, what's the crack? So Geordie says, I thank you, son, for your consternation. I'm going to the doctors for an extermination. Jack says, you said extermination. I think you mean an examination, like an assessment. Geordie says, no, man. An assessment is like when you put your money into something when you're saving up. And Jack says, no. He says, that's an investment. And Geordie says, no, an investment is what the vicar wears. Or it might be the book he reads, I cannot remember. And Jack says, no, what he wears is a vestment, and the book he reads is a testament. And Geordie says, no, man, a testament's like a high-rise block of flats. Jack says, Geordie, hold on, son, it's really quite absurd. I have to tell you, bonny lad, you've gotten the wrong word. He says, that's not a testament, that's a tenement. And Geordie says, no, man, a tenement's the stuff you rub on your muscles when they're sore. And Jack says, no, what you rub on your muscles is liniment. And Geordie says, no, linament's that little bit that joins your muscle to your bone and you pull it when you're doing an exercise. And Jack says, no, he says, that's not a ligament, that's not a liniment, that's a ligament. And Geordie says, no, a ligament is something you make up, like a ligament of your imagination. Jack says, Geordie, bonny lad, I think you're all befuddled. I've got to tell you, bonny lad, your words come out all muddled. He says, that's not a ligament, that's a figment. And Geordie says, no man, a figment's like a colour that you paint with. And Jack says, no, he says, that's a pigment. And Geordie says, no, pigment's like a little wedge of orange that you eat. And Jack says, no, he says, that's a segment. And Geordie says, no, segment's what they put in the beer down south. Jack says, Geordie, stop right there, 'cause nothing that you've said makes any sense. I've got to say, you're doing in me head. He says, that's not segment, that's sediment. Geordie says, no man, sediment's what you feel when you cry at the pictures. And Jack says, that's not sediment, that's sentiment. And Geordie says, no man, sentiment is like the salt and pepper you put on the table when you've got visitors. And Jack says, that's not sentiment, that's condiment. And Geordie says, no, condiment's when you tell your wife she's looking nice, even if she's... But we won't go there, we won't go there. And Jack says, no, he says, that's a compliment. Geordie says, no, a compliment's like the tool you use at work. Jack says, no, that's an implement. And Geordie says, no, man, the implement's that little thin wire that's in a light bulb. Jack says, Geordie, stop right there. You're talking like a chump. I've got to ask you, bonny lad, are you by any chance related to Donald Trump? He says, that's not a filament. He says, that's not a thing, that's a filament. Geordie says, no, man. He says, a filament is like the sky above. And Jack says, no, no, no. He says, that's a firmament. And Geordie says, no, the firmament is what's underneath. And Jack says, no, that's the fundament. So Geordie thinks for a bit and he says, thank you, Jack, you've been a pal, 'cause you've reminded me I'm off to see the doctor to see what he can see. You have mentioned fundament, and the rest has been a farce. 'Cause I've got a pain in me fundament, me bottom, me bum, me buttocks, me rear end. I've got a pain in me arse. Let's have a think of what I'm going to do next. Sorry, I was born just at the end of the war, and before Alan Hutchinson shouts up, it wasn't the bloody Crimean War, or indeed the Wars of the Roses, or in fact the American Civil War. We've had some American Civil War songs earlier. No, it was, so in the late 40s and 50s, and even into the 60s, the entertainment was the wireless, of course, and a lot of the entertainers on the wireless were people who'd entertained the troops during the war. There was a big influence of the war in the 50s, late 40s and 50s. And there was lots of wireless shows, variety shows. Two in particular, yous are all too young to remember the war, of course. The two of the programmes were Variety Bandbox and Variety Playhouse with Vic Oliver. Now, two of the people on these shows was Jack Hulbert and Cicely Courtnidge. And on Variety Playhouse, they used to put on a little two-hander, little 5 or 10 minute playlet towards the end of the show. And for 70 years, I've remembered one of these plays. And I only remember one. And it's about when a young lady goes to visit young lads from the war in hospital. And so this is my memory of a pocket, it's called the Pocket Theatre, this little play at the end of the Variety Playhouse. And so this is my version of Jack Hulbert and Cicely Courtnidge, a play from about 70 years ago. She said, I hope I didn't startle you. I didn't mean to cause you a surprise. The nurse told me of your injuries and the bandage around your eyes. I'd like to sit with you and put pictures to the sounds you hear, she said, from the world outside through the open window by your bed. I hear the wind is whispering, and I hear the rustle in the trees. She said yes, and in the garden there are people sitting at their ease. The grass is green and the flowers in the garden are in bloom, and the colours of the grass and the petals are all echoed in your room. And the colours that pictures that she drew, every colour, every hue, he saw in his mind's eye. I'll do that one again. The colours that she drew, every colour, every hue, he saw in his mind's eye. He says, I hear the sound of children laughing at their play. She says, yes, I see, there is a school across the way. They are running, they are jumping, they are chasing, as they do, underneath a blue sky, as the sun comes shining through. And the pictures that she drew, every colour, every hue, he saw in his mind's eye. He said, I hear the sound of traffic down below. She said, yes, and people are running to and fro. 1,000 different stories there, all in plain view. A kaleidoscope of colours, yellow, red and green and blue. And the colours, pictures she drew, every colour, every hue, he saw in his mind's eye. He said, you've given me the visions and showed me the sights that once I saw. And for what you have given, I cannot thank you more. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask a question, if I might. When, like me, did you lose your sight? She paused just for a moment, and then she replied, it was in the bombing, I was lucky, so many people died. And now I try to help young men like you. For all you give, it's just something I can do. And then she smiled and asked him how he knew. She said, how did you know that I had lost my sight, just like you? He said, the windows open wide, but what you didn't know, the nurse came round and closed the curtains just a half an hour ago. And the pictures that she drew, every colour, every hue, she'd seen them in her mind's eye. So that's a very poignant story, which I remember from 70 years ago. It was fiction, but I'd like to think maybe there's an element of truth in it. I'd like to do another little... Oh, right, yeah. Oh, very, yeah, echoed in the room. I'd like to do another little musical poem again. Now, my wife Liz, she's not here this morning, she found out a little while ago that her uncle was a jockey in Ireland. And he rode horses and and he trained horses for a fella called Jack McDowell. And Jack McDowell bought a horse called Kahoo, and he bought it for £50. Now, on this particular year, it was very cold and snowy, and in England and in Ireland as well, it was very difficult to train the horses. And Eddie, her uncle was called Eddie Dempsey. Eddie Dempsey trained this horse called Kahoo on the sand outside Dublin. And in due course, Jack McDowell decided what he would do is he'd race a horse outside Ireland and he'd bring it to England. So the horse hadn't been to England and Eddie Dempsey hadn't been to England. So they came to England and they put him in the race. Now, of course, the horse wasn't known and the jockey wasn't known. So they got odds of 100 to 1. Now, I don't know if you know about betting, but what that means is nobody thought that the horse had a chance. 100 to 1. Actually, I told this story and there was another fella singing called Peter Donnelly, and he's from Ireland, and he says, are you sure the odds were 100 to 1? I says, yes. He says, well, because my dad put £1 on that, and when he come home, he told me mother it was 66 to 1. Now, if you know anything about betting, what he meant, he trousered at 30-odd pound. So, anyway, they got 100 to 1 odds, and the horse came in 20 lengths ahead. Now, the significant fact is, it was the 1947 Aintree Grand National. So Liz's uncle has ridden a winner in the English Grand National. Now, there were a few funny things about it, and that was in 1947, the Grand National was held on the foggiest day there's ever been. There's a few people getting ahead of me here. Now, in the Grand National, you go around twice, you see. And Eddie was accused of hiding behind a hedge in the fog. And in fact, the English jockeys ganged up on him in a pub. There was a few other things that happened. There was a fella called Frank Godfrey, who in 1961, the horse died. And Frank said he'd retrieved the head and got it stuffed. And he puts it in front of his telly every National Day. And the horse's head watches the Grand National. And in fact, he brought it to Aintree one year and ran round the course with it. Anyway, there's a few other things in the poem which you'll get as I go along. Like many tales, I'll ask you, please to gather round to hear about a racehorse that was bought for £50. And furthermore, I'll ask you to pay attention, please, to a tale about the bold Kahoo, whose name is like a sneeze. In 1947, the English snow lay deep and cold, and stopped the English jockeys from their training, so we are told. But at Portmarnock and at Malahide and along the Dollymount Strand, Eddie Dempsey trained the bold Cahoo by running him on the sand. And when Eddie had finished putting Cahoo throughout his paces, they said, "We think he's ready now for the king of all the races. We'll take him to Aintree and put him to the test and see just how the horse will do when he runs against the best. Cahoo, Cahoo, whatever did you do? You came across to Aintree when no one knew you. There's not a man in England would put a bet on you. There's no way you'd come through. Cahoo, Cahoo, Cahoo." Now, Grand National Day was foggy. You couldn't see your nose. But 57 started, and Cahoo was one of those. Cahoo held back until Valentine's Brook the second time around. Then off he went, and he passed the lot, and to the front did bound. He passed Loch Con and Musical Lad, and he went into the lead. Kilnaglory, Caxton and Briquette and every other steed. He left behind Prince Regent, who was a favourite by the way, who came in second place. And 20 lengths ahead, he went and stole the blooming race. Now the scoundrel English jockeys went for Eddie, now top dog, and accused young Eddie Dempsey of hiding in the fog. They said you went round just the once, and only once went round, and they caught poor Eddie in a pub, and they beat him to the ground. Boo! 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 I'll do that again, and you can boo. They caught poor Eddie in the pub, and they beat him to the ground. Yeah, that's much better, much better. Cahoo, Cahoo, whatever did you do? They said you went round just the once instead of the usual two. The English jockeys took a hiding as around the course you flew. The air turned black and blue. Cahoo, Cahoo, Cahoo. Now here's a couple of true stories. A farmer from Rathkenny, near Ennis, name of John, he had a dream 2 weeks before, and he saw that Cahoo won. And when Cahoo romped home that day, he let out a roaring yip, and he sent the Pope £1,000 saying, "Thank you for the tip." Then on the boat back home, Jack McDowell said, "I think I'll buy for everyone on board whatever they want to drink." And the Guinness Book of Records, he bought the biggest round because that day he managed to buy every drink that could be found. He drank the boat dry, going home. Cahoo, Cahoo, whatever did you do? You said you went round just the once instead of the usual two. The English jockeys took a hiding as round the course you flew. The air turned black and blue. Cahoo, Cahoo, Cahoo. Now, in 1961, Cahoo was pronounced dead, but Frank Godfrey soon announced the body's buried, minus the head. The head's been stuffed and been preserved, he'll live forevermore. I'll keep it in me cottage, where I live, down in Dunno, and every year on National Day, the head gets pride of place. In front of Frank's old telly, the horse's head surveys the race. And in 1987, from his home down in Dunno, Frank took the head to Aintree to go round the course once more. Then one day Frank wrote to Eddie and said, "Please come at once to have our pictures taken with the horse's bonce." So the papers took the pictures of Frank and Eddie too, and pride of place, of course, went to the head of bold Cahoo. A splendid day was had by all, but soon came to an end. When came the time for Eddie, homeward bound to wend. And on the way back home, Eddie turned and said, "I think I've got to tell yous all, it's the wrong horse's head." But in 1999, the Irish Mirror came up trumps. It showed in pictures that Cahoo had taken all the jumps. They published it in black and white and settled the affair. Cahoo went twice around and won the race, both fair and square. Cahoo, Cahoo, whatever did you do? They said you went round just the once, we knew you did the two. You beat the field at Aintree and caused a right to do. The English jockeys hiding with Eddie Dempsey riding, and we're all proud of you. Cahoo, cahoo, cahoo. And that's the story of my wife's uncle. How's the time going on now? All right. Have I done Tell Me? I don't know if I have. All right. This is another song. This is another song about a young lad who. Some of my songs are about Geordies who come down to England. I've got no idea why. I come down to London and the south. I've got no idea why. This is a song about Geordie who comes down to London, and he's a bit puzzled by what he finds. Actually, Geordie did come down to London, and he thought he'd buy a jacket, you know. So he went to Savile Row, but all the jackets, he said, oh, £200, except one, which had been marked down from £200 to £20, so he bought it. And when he went home, he told his wife, he said, look, I went to buy a jacket, but they were all £200. But I saw this one marked down. It was marked down from 200 to 20 because of a blemish. And she says, what was the blemish? He says, well, one of the sleeves is slightly shorter than the other two. He was in Leicester Square having a drink, you know, when in comes his mate Jack. It surprised him. He says, Jack, I didn't expect to see you here. He says, oh, we've just come from Evita. He says, come from Evita? How long were you there? You haven't got much of a tan. Sometimes when I do this song, I'd play the band, or my son Luke plays a little tune called the Durham... Oh, good evening. Not that tune. Tell me, tell me, tell me if you find anywhere in London town where there's a working mine. There's no real work for the working man, the money days are over. There's people in our street that's down to 2 and 3 Range Rovers. Oh dear me, it would really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. Tell me, tell me, tell me if you see where they make the iron and steel. It really baffles me. There's no real work for the working man. It really isn't funny. They just sit round in bars and banks counting out their money. Oh dear me, it'd really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. Tell me, it really gets my goat. Anywhere in London town where there's a fishing boat, the herring craft and trawlers is nowhere to be seen. They said it was a codless town. See what I did there? I now know what they mean. Oh dear me, it'd really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. Tell me, I really find it hard to see where they can build the ships with no shipbuilding yard. There's no real work for the working man, it really is a hassle. They'll be sending down food parcels from Jarrah and Newcastle. Actually, that's the second version that I wrote because the first version was condemned. It was, there's no real work for the working man. At least that's what me mate said. Can you guess? They'll be sending down food parcels from Jarrah and from Gateshead. Oh dear me, it'd really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. Tell me, they've got a lot of gold anywhere in London town where they make out at all. Muscle and money here and there, it really is a caper. A castle built not just on sand, but little bits of paper. Oh dear me, it really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. Tell me if you can. Anywhere in London town there's work for the working man. No mines, no mills, no shipyards, as far as I can tell. I'd go back to Newcastle, but there's bugger all there as well. Oh dear me, it'd really get you down. There's no real work for the working man down here in London town. How we doing? I'll do one more. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to finish off with this one. And I'm sorry, I keep on wiping my nose here. I've got a Geordie was standing by the side of the road, you know, talking to this fella. And Geordie said to him, he says, I've been reading in the magazines that 40's the new 60, and he says, apparently 60's the new 80. So the fella had a bit of thinking. He says, that's very interesting, Geordie. He says, but speaking as a traffic cop, that's not true here on the A27. I'm booking you for speeding. Which is by way of introducing this song, which I call Speeding. And it's about speeding. Or is it? I'll let you make your mind up. I find I've been pulled over for a warning. To tell the truth, it really was a shock. Sorry, I'll start again. I find I've been pulled over for a warning. To tell the truth, it really was a shock. I thought it was a twilight instead of the morning, when the needle's hitting 80. When the last time I looked, I thought it said 30 on the clock. I knew I started, it was early, and the needle was on 30. I was getting where I wanted, with time to look around. And then I pulled my foot down and I pulled out into their lane, and I didn't see a quarter of the things I should have found. So ease off the throttle, let the needle come to rest. When you go past 80, that's when you realise it's not the destination, it's how you choose to travel. The end of the road is not the prize. When he clocked me, it was over 80. To tell the truth, I really got a shock. I guess that I am not too wise. I said I didn't realise the needle hitting 80. When the last time I looked, I thought that it said 30 on the clock. I was speeding past the places where I really should have lingered. Didn't see the trees and rivers, the visions that I chased. But then I took the slow road and eased off the pedal. I tried to see the things that I missed in my haste. So ease off the pedal, let the needle come to rest. When you go past 80, that's when you realise It's not the destination, it's how you choose to travel. The end of the road is not the prize. In my mind I saw a speeding shiny roadster, but looking back I saw an ancient clock. Yesterday what road to take, but now I have to hit the brake. The needle's hitting 80, when the last time I looked I thought it said 30 on the clock. Now the engine's running rougher now, with every mile I travel I hear the squeaking louder, and the tank is running low. The body's got a rattle, and the chassis getting rusty. You have to pay attention to what the warnings show. So ease off the throttle, let the needle come to rest. When you go past 80, that's when you realize it's not the destination, it's how you choose to travel. The end of the road is not the prize. Yes, ease off the throttle, let the needle come to rest. When you go past 80, that's when you realize it's not the destination, it's how you choose to travel. The end of the road is not the prize. And in the words of John Hobden from the Wireless, if you have been, thanks for listening. I learned a little while ago, the reason I wrote this song recently was I was talking to, sorry about that chaps, I was talking to some of the family, and it turned out that I might have turned out as a little Trump supporter, which would have been a bit horrible, because my maternal grandfather was going to take my mother and some of the brothers. It was a big family, there was 10 in the family. And some of the brothers had emigrated to America, but he got, there was some mix-up and he didn't go, and he gave the tickets to somebody else. Otherwise I might have been an American. But it reminded me of a thing called, do you know a term called the American Wakes? Because I heard from this relative that when the two people went, there was a lot of mourning in the family. Because in the American Wakes was during the famine. The Irish people emigrated to America, and they knew they would probably never see them again. So it was the night before they went, they had a wake, because it was like a death. So I'm going to have to read this one, if you don't mind, because I've only just written it. It's got a little chorus. Maybe the last time we'll all be together, the music tonight will fade from my mind. An American wake, and I sail in the morning. I leave my old life behind. And then he goes through his friends, his brothers and sisters, his father and his mother. It's maybe the last time I'll see you, my friends. I hear the new world is calling my name, with hardship behind and a new life before me, the promise of fortune and fame. But I know in my heart that the promise of fortune and all of the stories that we have been told are hiding the truth of the life set before me. The streets of the new world are not paved with gold. And it's maybe the last time we'll all be together. The music tonight will fade from my mind. An American wake, and I sail in the morning. I leave my old life behind. It's maybe the last time we'll all stand together, brothers and sisters gathered for me tonight. I'll speak of the wonders they're waiting for me. The bustling cities of dazzling light, but I know in my heart that the dream may be empty. The promise of wealth may crumble with time. The letters I send will not tell the story, a message of hope, but the truth stays behind. And maybe the last time we'll all be together. The music tonight will fade from my mind. An American awake and I sail in the morning. I leave my old life behind. And it's maybe the last time behind the clay pipe. He'll be thinking himself, what more could we do? Our lives have been broken by famine and fortune, and death of the barren land we once knew. And I know in my heart as I leave him behind me, my few possessions tied up in a sack. It's a one-way ticket set out before me. I know in my heart I'll never be back. And it's maybe the last time we'll be together. The music tonight will fade from my mind. An American wake and I sail in the morning. I leave my old life behind. And it's maybe the last time behind the black shawl. She smiles through her tears with heartache and pain. She holds me, her baby, always her baby, knowing we will never see her again. And I know in my heart, as I say when I'm leaving, I will be back to see you one day. But we both know now, as I set out without them, the promise I make is one I'll betray. And it's maybe the last time we'll all be together. The music tonight will fade from my mind. An American wake and I sail in the morning. I leave my old life behind. That's a new song I've just written.